have the chat open, so if you write in the chat, I will be able to read it.
Oh, this is going to be fun.
I hope so.
No, apparently Discord is continuing to move things around, which means nothing's staying static on the screen. It's all right. I'll figure it out in just 1 second, because we are live and people can hear you and I talking. Hey, for anybody who's listening right now, I'm going to be setting up another scene real quick that's going to be a little bit more cohesive for what we're trying to do. I'm sorry if you are listening on Discord, my audio probably sounds a little off, and it may sound a little off no matter where you're watching. Going to be working on that later on, but we have another ZiMo workshop today. We are going to be talking about GMBinder layout with SlowFlow, aka Killer Clown. Maybe they have a real name also, maybe they don't. Maybe we'll find out. But I'm going to set up a thing where you can just see what you are working on, so that way as people pop in and pop out of the chat, we don't have the screen continually moving around, because the screen share stays in the same spot, but all of our faces, as beautiful as they are, keep on moving around. So with that said, /Killer Clown, I'm going to kick it over to you to get us started while I pop that new scene up and get us set.
Right. Good evening, everyone. I say good evening. It's not good evening for me. Maybe it's the afternoon, like at Tony's right now. We are here tonight to speak about GMBinder and how to use it to do stuff. I won't pretend I will be showing you how to lay out, but I will show you how to use the tool, which more or less automatically layouts stuff for you. What is it good for? And we'll go into the basics today of what's doable with GMBinder. And next week we'll do some more personalized stuff. We'll go into the details on how to personalize the GMBinder to be able to do something that doesn't look like DND5, because that's exactly what GMBinder was created to do. It's an online tool which helps you create DND5 layouts, so your homebrews look like they have been done by someone who knows the stuff, and it takes over graphics and elements from the real DND5 books and use them, mimicking somehow the layout, so it looks like you have something real. It's something HTML, CSS based, and we are writing in markup or markdown. I'm not actually sure exactly which one, but it's quite easy, you'll see. It's the project GMBinder was a branch of Homebrewery, who back then, about 1 year ago, 1.5 years ago, was a dead project, but which had potential, and GMBinder took the stuff and continued to develop on it and did some stuff that are really impressive. Now it's more the other way around. There are nearly no new things that are developed for GMBinder, and a new group is developing Homebrewery. So it's a difficult time to know which one you should be using. I'm definitely using GMBinder because I learned how to use it, and it's quite nice to use, but it doesn't get developed anymore. Hello Tony, I can see your message. GMBinder is subscription based, which means if you want to be a power user or a premium user, you have to pay monthly. I think it's roughly $80 a year you have to pay. I am a paying user, and some of the stuff I will be showing is probably only accessible to paying user, but right now I am not sure it's worth the money to put it in. Still, it has one good thing. GMBinder is acknowledged by Wizard as part of the stuff you are allowed to use to create stuff and put it on the GM's Guild, which is the D&D 5 part of Drive-Through RPG. They get a big cut out of the money that you might make with your creations on that part of Drive-Through RPG. So it's okay to use their assets from the layout and so on. But if you are not publishing your creations there, you are not allowed to use Wizard of the Coast's assets. That's a little bit of a problem, and that's the reason why we will have another session next week to show you how you can do stuff outside of the realm of what Wizard of the Coast developed, and how it can look very good, and how it's not too hard to put into place. So, what are the reasons to use GMBinder? Well, it's quick. It's something, even if you know nothing of layouting, if you're just a writer who has been homebrewing in in his cellar for a few a few decades, you'll get okay results quite quickly. It's really quick to use, quick to learn. It's an online tool, and normally you don't need other platforms to have your files hosted. So anywhere in the world, you need to write some RPG because we all know you are on the beach in Thailand, and you have the most wonderful idea for your new RPG. Well, you can write it down if you have access to the internet. The only thing that is not hosted on GM Binder are images which you can link from outside. If you link them on Imgur, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, then the images will be rehosted on GMBinder and will stay there. I've been using another one because I was using it beforehand to store my images, so it's everything is hot linked. The third reason to use it is because it's structured. The system brings a rigidity into the whole stuff that actually helps you, if you are a newbie, to stay consistent and have a consistent layout, which is very important to be consistent in how you present information. Are there reasons not to use it? Yes, actually there are. GMBinder is a proprietary software, even if it's based on free software. It's proprietary, and it should not be, but it's the way it is. So, well, it's like that. It's made for GM's Guild publications, so it's really made to duplicate D&D 5, and those things are copyright protected. So if you're not selling the stuff, it's okay-ish to use it, but we will need to heavily modify the standards of the software with CSS to have something that looks different if we want to base a zine on what we're doing on GMBinder. And one third reason to do it, it's a bit undead. It's not really a dead project, but it's not really leaving. The dev, it's only one developer who works on it. Has been around because one certificate for the website died, and within 24 hours, he had put a new certificate, so it could still be used. But development and debugging is very, very slow right now. The client support is bad, but the community on Discord is really good. So if you have a problem, they will be very helpful, and you have a lot of brewing persons online that will help you. So today we'll start with the basics, and we'll start going into the GMBinder itself. As you see, we have here a discover screen. It's what you get shown when you log in. So as you see, I'm Killer Clown here. I'll open something, a work by someone else. It's the Discover Parts, the newest creation. Someone did a library and a new Arcane tradition, and I just clicked on it. And that's what that person did. It doesn't look bad. It's layouted, it's usable. It looks a bit like 5th edition, and that's really easy stuff to do. We'll go on my library and we will create a new document, which we will call the Rakotbrücke, which is a bridge. Um, I have written a blog. We're using the GM default, but not sharing the source, and save like that. So I have a blog, which I have written something on the Rakotbrücke. I'm just copying the text off of that. As you see, when you start a new project, you have already stuff that is put everywhere. It's actually helping you to the shortcuts, footnotes, how to make 2 columns, what's a column break, and so on. Stuff that we will do today, but that we won't need at first. So I'm starting from a blank page and copying into the page just my all my stuff, all I had written on my blog. So the Rakotbrücke is our title. So it's going to be, if we were in HTML, H1, and in Markdown, it's just one, um, one, don't know the name of that stuff. Uh, Hashtag. One hashtag. So it's the Rakotbrücke or the Devil's Bridge. We'll try to put that together on one line. So it's a big title, but it will do. It's something I want to have as an H2, and we call it location. And as you see, I'm just going through the text, adding hashtags, and it's nearly everything I have to do. The only thing I have to sometimes do is just put a bit more line breaks, because if I don't, GMBinder doesn't see it like it is. So the legend of the bridge is also an H2, and I'll keep it like that. And here I'll make a line break and add a few line breaks along the way. And as you see, our text is taking form. Just adding levels of information. And as you see, it's really not that hard to do, but we are coming to a point where, oh, we are at the end of our first column. And if we don't pay attention, we will have a doorway, but where to? As our big, as our H2, as not a title, but as a header, as our first line of header on the bottom of our first column, which we don't want to. So we'll go, we have the possibility here to click and go in the text exactly where it's on the other side in the code. And we'll go for the first time here to the snippets. The snippets are very useful. That magic wand is your best friend at the beginning. And we're gonna go to the column break, which you insert. And as you see on the other side, oh yeah, the text has moved to the other side, and we are now on the, let's call it the right side. Still continuing on putting some line breaks at the end of my lines, so that GMBinder understands what I'm gonna do, where I do want to start, puts a bit more of place in between, so that we have a problem, so that we don't have a problem reading it. And as I can see, the next one is Guardians, and Guardians is with a table. So we'll go back to the magic wand, and instead of a column break, we will do a page break with number and insert it. So all the text we had is now on the next page. And the Guardians, which are also page 2, are here. As you can see, I just copied the text of the table into the editor. Here we can also add a table, and we will do so that you see our table is done. We have two sorts of tables, table and table split. Table is just a normal table with a set column of numbers. A table split is something that has more columns. It's a table that starts one side and continues on the next side. We'll do the table, the normal one, and it added here on the line 46 D8 and loot, which will be the table header. On lines 47, I know it looks cryptic, but that's how you tell GMBinder how many columns there are and what the orientation of the text in the column should be. So, for example, if we take the double points here away, it's not centered in the column anymore. It's completely everything to the left. That's my left. And the other way around, we could also put everything to the right of the column. It would work too, the way we want it. So instead of D8 loot, it's a D12 I am using from, you might see on line 59. And here instead of loot, let's put Guardian. For the rest of the table, I'll just erase line 48 to 55 and do manually here add pipes. So a pipe before the one and a pipe after the one. And I should put a pipe and one pipe at the end of what I'm writing. And we should have, well, not a good looking, but at least the first stuff in our column. So I don't know if you have done any layout of tables in the past, but tables are always the worst to lay out because it take time. Something missing? Is it some? Ow! Sorry. Is something missing from? Yeah, there's something missing in my table. Good to know. All right. That's the reason it's not working here. So I'll do that for the 20. I'm sorry, it's a bit of something that takes time. But as you see, when you have the text already ready, you just have to put in the pipes. It doesn't take a lot of time to work your way down the table, unless you continuously type on the wrong button on your keyboard, which I am doing really nearly all the time. So I have chosen this particular blog thing because that's one with only a D12 table. I'm big on tables, but I do normally D66 tables, which take even more time to lay out. So as you see, we have already our first table. It's not perfect. It doesn't look very good, but it's working at least. Um, when we have time at the end, I will show you how to make it better. So here we have our next, actually our next table, unspeakable destination. It's also a D12, so it would be wise just to put it directly in the next column because we know it's gonna be not enough space down. So we are doing a column break. It's not the best idea what I'm doing right now. Having the D12 here column, we should have it more wide and do that on two separate pages. But for the purposes of this demonstration, I am trying to keep it as simple as possible. So here again, we have a table and we're going to be adding some pipes because that's the way pipes work. Here we need in between again the indication for GMBinder that we are doing a table and how the text should behave within the cells of this. And as you can see, it's once you have the hang of it, it's quite quick to put in the pipes and the text somehow magically takes form on the other side, on the what you see is what you get side of the program. By the way, GMBinder is only working well with Chrome. I don't know if I don't know if it works well on Mac, to be honest. I'm a PC person, but I know it doesn't work with other um, navigators. I think that's the word. Anyhow, as you see, we have already um, done the first steps and we already have a file that's actually not too bad looking. We have been using that magic wand and we have been actually using only two of the levels of information that we um, could have used. We have an H1 for our title, an H2 for all those here. It's probably not enough. We I can show you in the end what's an H3, which is doable, looks like. So try to write hello community. So if we were if you wanna join my Discord, blah 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 blah, that's the way it would look like. But if I have already one point of information going on there, for example, if I want to see here is Discord, but here is email, etc., etc. And in the email, I could do private email. Oh, never forget to add a space after all your hashtags because it won't work else, won't recognize. You see, it's everything is something that you can configure into your CSS sheet because right now, if you look at the beginning of our file, we have no CSS sheet. But if we start the whole thing with a CSS sheet, then we can modify everything. Right now, we are using the GMBinder standard stuff, really. What we want to do is use the magic wand and see what's doable. And with one click, I can go to the themes. We have here a few themes that you can use. Uh, you have the DMG for the Dungeon Master Guide, so it will mimic how the Dungeon Master Guides look like. We have the Genesis theme, and some fans have mimicked how the Genesis books are laid out. It's really good, but well, you're not allowed to use it for anything but Genesis stuff, which has their own part on Drive Through RPG anyway. MM is for the monster manual. Sword Meow, I'm not really sure, but it's very pink and very fluffy and shiny. Um, Unearth Arcana stuff can be used too, and Xanatar Guide to Everything theme can be used too. So let's use the DMG, the Dungeon Master Guide. Um, the theme, and you see it added 18 lines at the beginning of our stuff, and apparently we now have something that should mimic. And you see the colors changed in here. The Dungeon Master Guide uses another color coding for the tables, for example. So that's something we can do with one click. We can take it away and put something else in space. And I've been using those quite extensively to learn how it works. You see, this one is a bit longer and it does a bit of blue in here. What we can do, which I haven't shown you, which is still in the standard, is you can do fancy stuff with GMBinder. For example, when you want to start a new chapter, you have something called a part page, which is a part header called part header in the magic wand, and just insert it, and then it adds something, well, good looking, I would say. We'll take the text of the Rakotsbrücke and put it instead of part X because it's the part one. It's actually the only part. And we will use the rest of the text as a subtext for this instead of summary of content. And as you can see, we already have our first problem. It's too wide, the Rakotsbrücke, for the whole stuff to look good. So there you have our first editing step to say, no, I won't be using that. Next problem is, oh, it's over the whole text. You have a few possibilities to get that. One is just adding line breaks like in HTML. Would be nice if I were able to write that correctly. And you can add a few of them until the text looks good. You copy them, go to the beginning of your next column, add them in. It's level. Not looking good, to be honest. So we'll add another line break here and another one here too, because we want the stuff to be at the same height. And we have another problem that our text is too long. So the column, the end of the column is there, and everything's on the other side broken. Not a good idea. So we'll keep it like that for now. It doesn't look perfect, but still, it looks some kind of okay. We would have also the possibility to make it on a much better way. As you see, our part page is in a div. We could also, instead of using it here, put both our columns each in a different um, in a different div and have it certainly at the same height and so on. So But for now, because I am putting the break, not the line break, the column break somewhere else, taking away all the line breaks and adding them here. And since both our columns are now a bit more on par of the length, you see our first page doesn't look perfect. But we have some space here we could use, for example, to put an image, which we will do. Yes, we will do that. Will we do that right now? Yes, we will do that right now because it's doable. So we want to insert an image. We'll go here on the other side. It's just before Guardians. So I click on Guardians. Oh, my page break is here. Just before the page break, we'll add one image. We have a snippet for image insertion, which we will do. And I see some text is getting in there. What we will go here and just copy the image address on the block and add it here in as the image source. And as you see, it's getting outside of the screen somehow. It's not good. So we will put that in a div because working with div is much better. I think it's style wide that we want to use. And we will close the div afterwards because if we don't, we have a big problem. Still not perfect. All right. Where's my cheat sheet? My cheat sheet for the GMBinder is here. What I am often using is the attribute width within the image. And the class, we don't really need it here, so we won't. So right now I have just added one small thing saying my image should be included, but with only 100 pixels, which is not what I wanted. I wanted 100%. And when I do 100%, then the image is going to do 100%, 100% of the column that we have right now. It's still not very good, but it's better than before. We now have one image. That's something a bit more advanced that I will go in next week, how to put an image on the whole width of the page and so on. All right, let me check. Is it something else I wanted to show you? Yes, the cover. We should add a cover to our wonderful blog stuff. So between our style sheet and the beginning of our part page, I'll go in and on the magic wand and add something, a cover, a front cover in this case, and I'll insert it right now. So as you see, it's adding something as the front cover. The image here is not what we want. The image we want is something I have hosted here. That should be the image. Yes, it should be the image. If it's not, I have to come back and check. And instead of the source of the image we already have, I'm adding this one, which is an image I have made just for this blog post with some flying lizard over the Rakotsbrücke here in Germany. Since the diamond is orange and we don't really it doesn't look good, we'll take it away. Or do we know we keep it because it's standard in the DMG. What we will do is take the sheet and go back to a standard. That's the standard of, no, not doing what I want. All right, then we'll keep it. Sorry. As you see, sometimes you have to fumble around to get exactly what you want. Normally, diamond here should be red. I don't know why it's not, but probably it's written somewhere why. So catchy title. We will take the Rakotbrücke. And here we have a homebrew, what they call splotch, which we can keep or can take away as we want. It normally looks different for D&D 5, but I don't know what's happening right now. Probably should check here. Does that work? Yes, now it works. Now we have exactly what I wanted. We have here the page numbers that are right, and we have exactly the Game Master book, GMB game. Yeah, under catchy footer, we called it the Devil's Bridge, a location for any role-playing game, for any fantasy role-playing game. And as you see, we already have something that's, I wouldn't say publishable, but usable as of now. I take that away and I will insert here another page break with number, because if you don't have the page number on your last. So you always have an empty, I always say, have an empty page at the end of your book or add a back cover. Most of the people don't even use the back cover, but it's possible to add a back cover. That's the one mimicking the players or Wizard of the Coast stuff. We could also actually add a back cover, D&D Fancy, and it's adding another page, so I have to go there and take over and take that page break that's been automatically added. And we have now a 4 pages, uh, 4 pages document that looks quite okay and quite usable as of right now. As you see in the title, Brücke, there is a problem with the font. The font doesn't work well with a German word, German, so we'll keep the, the Brücke to a UE instead of Ü. Just spell the same, it works like that, but it looks better. And I'll say that's actually enough information to get you started, all of you, if you want to get started right now. And I will be now taking questions. So fire away in the chat. And if you want to know anything, ask. And the unicorn is always stepping down. So, anybody? Tony, anything to add? Anything to say? Yeah, I do think with only the few things I have shown you right now, you are able. It was quick. You would have to practice a bit, but only with that, it's already enough to start and homebrew your way out of your misery. So homebrew, homebrew, homebrew. It's been used mostly by the homebrew community, people that wanted to show their stuff, what they do at their table, what are the new stuff they are doing, what are the different or the variants from the normal rules they are using on their campaign. But I know, I actually for a fact, a few people have been using GMBinder to really create books and why not zines. Right now, the format is, I think it's letter, US letter, but there is the possibility also to in the style sheets to determine and say I want it to be A5, I want it to be A4, I want it to be in a landscape format. Everything's possible. It's just a bit harder to print in the end. Right now, we could actually go to the print here and click on print as a PDF. The layout is portrait, yeah, that's correct. It's letter. I scale it down to 99% normally to be sure that it works, but we could print that and have um, already our PDFs or PDF ready to go and ready to be shared.
And I adjusted my input a little bit on Discord, and then so I don't know if this is better or worse. Sorry to everybody who was over on Twitch. I was muted over there. I was just talking about the challenges of learning Markdown, and this being another good reason for us to consider using it in addition to things like being able to do dungeons on itch or other embeddable websites. There's also a great platform that I love that's called why can't I think about it? It's Monocle Society's Weave. They have an open use on their platform that's all done by Markdown. So there's a lot of stuff that makes Markdown a good language to start learning at least the basics of if you haven't had a chance to yet. So yeah.
And to be honest, Markdown is a skill that you can use in your work life too.
Yeah.
That's something that you, anytime that would be interesting. Knowing CSS, knowing HTML, knowing Markdown is something that could be usable in the future in your job, even if you don't get to be a 100% author. If you are, yeah, I've been working with that stuff in the past, and it's getting me somewhere. And one of the other things that's really good, CSS and HTML are really heavily described on the internet. And if you go to the W3 school, you have a lot of information that you can use in the style sheets, for example, to change everything here. So you are able to do exactly what you want. And that's what I'm gonna show you next week, how to change the stuff. Right now, Benjamin has been doing stuff in the background. I'm showing now to the stream what he has been doing in the background, just using Homebrewery. Homebrewery is very not exactly the same as it wasn't tonight. I thought you did it during the stream, which would be possible without a problem. But used Homebrewery with concurrent product, but does something of the same. And as you see, it's really good. You do quite a lot. I haven't shown you any monsters right now because I'm not big into monsters, but one of the use of the wand is to bash in, for example, at the end, before page break num, we could add a class block, which means we go back down here and you would put a class. Let's put it on a new page. That's going to be better. More easier that way. As you see, you have the class name, everything you want to have. Just have to put stuff inside. Thanks for sharing, Benjamin. That's exactly the kind of stuff you can do with GMBinder too.
Yeah.
And here, after the class,
I do have a question because I just want to make sure, because it's always a question. I know there are some limitations for some things that are intended to interact in the 5th edition kind of ecosystem around licensing and when and how you can produce them. Are there any limitations for visual design for folks who are looking at using GMBinder or Home Brewery as tools?
Using them is okay, but you have to put the stuff only on the DM's Guild or GM's Guild, the parts of Drive-Through RPG, which is dedicated to D&D
Cool.
5. So if you want to use what I've shown you today and use really the off-the-shelf GMB, like the way this class is behaving and shown, the way the part page looks like the PHP, the way even the cover is mimicking the
Right.
D&D way. Yeah, you can use it, but only there, only on the DM's Guild,
Okay.
which is a big limitation.
Yeah, I know you
that's
mentioned that at the
why-
beginning, but I just wanted to come around so people understood why that there's a visual branding limitation on some of this, and that's how it's integrated.
Exactly. And that's why next week I will show you how to do your own stuff. And then if you are using your own assets, you have no limitation on where to publish them anymore. And you can even sell the stuff afterwards because you are selling your own assets. Right now, the part page, for example, I do find it very, very good looking, but everybody knows that's something that you can't use because it belongs to Wizard of the Coast.
Right.
You can only use it if you publish on the GMBinder, on the DM's Guild, sorry, because in the end they will get some of the money you make off of it. When you see that, they get a good percentage. I think they get 20% of what you do there if you publish there.
Cool.
All right. Then I think, Tony, we should be wrapping up.
Sounds good.
Hour is around.
And you said you have another workshop next week. What day is that?
Exactly. It's same day, same hour. So it's going to be next Tuesday at 9 p.m. Central European Time, which is 3 p.m. EST.
It's 3 p.m. East Coast time here in the U.S., which makes it like 2 a.m. in the morning in the Philippines and Malaysia. Just depending on where you are in the world, adjust from one of those times. I am going to be back on Saturday, I think. I'll have to double check real quick with Ian Newsom. I'm going to be back sometime soon with Ian Newsom. Talking about the day of your project launch. Ian's going to be presenting that one. I'll be hitting him with some questions about that. And I am also going to be sitting down next week with Jarrett from Exalted Funeral to talk about how you pitch to a publisher. So if you're wondering about just publishing your game directly, especially with Exalted Funeral, but with any publisher, those are great ones. By the way, you can go to check out Killer Clown's blog at the link below, osrdread.blogspot.com, and check out Europol X. Since we didn't talk about it yet, real quick, do you want to tell people Europol X a little bit about it and what they can expect from it?
Yeah, why not? I am right now writing Europol X, which is a contemporary game of mystery solving, and I'm showing you at the same time
Ooh.
what the work looks like. I have it here on the screen. So as you see, I have done a lot of editing and changing. So it's an A5 right now, and as you see, it's a bit different from what I have shown you today. But that's what I'm doing, using GMB to write my game. And yeah,
Cool.
it's about playing a cell, a secret cell of Europol that try to solve unsolved mysteries, which are always based on technology that should not exist yet. The big spoiler being it's because that technology comes from a parallel universe.
Love it.
And you'll be in a cold war with that parallel universe during the campaign that I am writing to.
Awesome.
And that be it. Thank you for the space,
Yeah.
Tony. Thank you for hosting this, and see you next week. I hope it was good enough that you want to do the second one.
Let me double check my schedule. I didn't know about that one, but I'll message with you about it after this. I think we can probably make it work. Just FYI for anybody else coming up, we've got tomorrow. I know this says Monday, but it's tomorrow, I promise you. I am playing the Snow Queen with Gian Shim in the afternoon. Come back for us if you want to actually watch us play a game. This is Gian's upcoming keepsake game. It's going to be releasing hopefully next month on a funding platform to be determined. Also Through the Voids funding right now, and on Thursday we're going to be sitting down with Adam Voss and a couple of other people to play a Necronautilus game set in the Cybermetal universe. Cybermetal is funding right now over on GameFound, so check all that good stuff out. Hit subscribe if you want to, if you're watching right now and haven't for some reason, but most of you have. But if you're watching this later, do it. If you find this later, do it. But we'll have a bunch more ZiMo workshops over the next couple of weeks. The best place to find all of those, because I am not hosting all of them, is over on the ZiMo Discord. There's a link to that down in the image also too, and we will see y'all soon.